All over the world, stories about mysterious creatures, strange phenomena, and ancient relics that remain unexplained have always stirred human curiosity and left people constantly asking questions. From monsters at the bottom of the deep ocean, to giant beings that appear in legends, to mysterious signals from outer space, and structures that go far beyond the abilities of ancient civilizations, these are all mysteries that challenge the imagination and understanding of humankind. Join us as we begin a journey to explore secrets that still have no answers. So fasten your seatbelt as we dive into today's mystery. But first, you'll have incredible luck if you like and subscribe before this video ends. The wall made of human bones in Belgium. Right beneath St. Bavo's Cathedral in Ghent, Belgium, workers unexpectedly uncovered a strange mystery as they began digging the foundation to build a new visitor center. None of them could have imagined that beneath the floor of this ancient cathedral there would be massive walls constructed entirely out of human bones. They had thought that perhaps they would find a few scattered skeletons in an old cemetery, but the sight before their eyes left everyone astonished. Thousands of femurs, shin bones, and fragments of human skulls were stacked neatly, just like bricks, forming a chilling barrier that stretched beneath the ground. When archaeologists received the report, they quickly arrived at the site to begin excavation and research. According to a report from the Brussels Times, a total of 9 large and small walls were discovered, all built from thousands of bones. Most of the bones used were femurs and shin bones, while the empty spaces were filled with fragments of broken skulls. Each wall was arranged extremely firmly, as if this were a construction that had been carefully planned, not merely a place for makeshift burial. This led researchers to an inevitable question: why did someone build these walls of bones right under a major cathedral? The head of the archaeological team, Mr. Janik D., stated that these walls were built in the 17th century when the church decided to clear out the old cemetery. At that time, the clergy could not simply discard the bones of the deceased, because according to Christian beliefs, bones hold great significance. It was believed that on the day of resurrection, when Christ returned, the faithful would be resurrected in physical form, and the bones would be the foundation for that rebirth. Therefore, discarding bones carelessly was considered contrary to religious faith. The church staff chose to make use of the largest bones, especially femurs and shin bones, to build sturdy walls right under the cathedral. They believed that as long as they kept some important bones, that would be enough to ensure the souls of the deceased would be resurrected when Judgment Day arrived. The act of building walls from bones not only had practical meaning when the church needed to expand space, but also reflected a deep belief in the eternity of the soul. The walls of bone became part of the cathedral's foundation, like a silent reminder of faith in resurrection. For the people of that era, this was not a gruesome act, but a way to preserve the remains of loved ones in the most sacred and solemn manner. However, today, you will not be able to see these unique walls of human bones if you happen to visit Ghent. All of the bones have been transferred to Ghent University to serve scientific research. Researchers hope that by analyzing the bones, they can better understand the identity, lifestyle, and circumstances of those who passed away hundreds of years ago. The lost cities of the Amazon. For centuries, the Amazon rainforest has been portrayed as a mysterious world. Explorers and archaeologists once believed that this place was merely home to small, scattered communities living by hunting and gathering, with no trace of any great civilization ever having developed there. However, LiDAR technology has completely transformed all traditional thinking about this vast land. In recent years, scientists have used LiDAR technology together with satellite imagery to uncover what lies beneath the dense forest canopy of the Amazon, especially in the eastern region of Ecuador. Laser beams scanning through the jungle have revealed a completely different picture. Beneath the dark green layer of trees is a forgotten world. They have discovered the ruins of hundreds of ancient cities, wide and perfectly straight roads, rectangular areas of farmland, and earthworks built according to clear and deliberate planning. The results of these surveys have shaken the archaeological world. In what was once thought to be untouched wilderness, there once existed a highly organized civilization, which researchers have called the Upano civilization. There were stone cities, large residential areas, and roads designed with methodical precision. Scientists estimate that the Upano civilization appeared in the Amazon about 2,500 years ago. For nearly a millennium, the Upano people built bustling urban centers, established large-scale agricultural zones, and maintained a complex society no less sophisticated than renowned civilizations such as the Maya or Inca. Archaeological evidence shows that Upano once possessed a transportation network linking major cities with dozens of smaller settlements, while also managing and exploiting the resources of the forest. Yet, around the year 600 AD, this civilization suddenly vanished. All that remains are traces of a once glorious world now turned into mystery. The biggest question scientists have posed is why such a developed civilization could disappear almost without leaving any clue as to the cause of its collapse. Was it because of major climate changes, devastating pandemics, or environmental shifts that forced the Upano people to abandon their homeland? Or is it the result of a chain of events that we have yet to decipher? The undiscovered pyramid of Pharaoh Userkare in Egypt. Saqqara, a sun-scorched desert not far from Cairo, has long been considered the cradle of many of ancient Egypt's greatest mysteries. This is the site of a concentration of pyramids, both large and small, spanning more than 6 centuries of history, from the era of the very first pharaohs to the twilight of Egypt's great dynasties. Yet many scholars believe that what we see on the surface is only a small part of the treasure trove of secrets still buried deep beneath the sands of Saqqara. One of those who has devoted his life to pursuing these mysteries is Dr. Vasyl Dobrev, a world-renowned Egyptologist. He believes that under the thick sands of Saqqara, there are still dozens, perhaps even hundreds, of pyramids yet to be discovered. Among them, the most remarkable is the possible pyramid of Pharaoh Userkare. Userkare is one of the most enigmatic rulers of ancient Egypt. He belonged to the 6th dynasty and lived toward the end of the 24th century BC. Historical records about Userkare are extremely scarce. No one knows much about his origins, the circumstances of his rise to power, or even the cause of his death. Some theories suggest that he ascended the throne after a power struggle and was overthrown after only a few years of rule. In ancient king lists, Userkare's name often appears faintly between the more prominent pharaohs Teti and Pepi I. For many years, there was no material evidence indicating that Userkare had ever reigned, until Dr. Dobrev discovered strange signals using modern laser scanning technology. While surveying a flat stretch of land in Saqqara, his research team collected unusual data from beneath the sand. The scanned images revealed a pattern of perpendicular lines resembling the foundations of a large structure, most likely the base of an unfinished pyramid. With the intuition of a seasoned researcher, Dr. Dobrev believes this is indeed the foundation of the pyramid. Userkare began constructing before he was deposed or died. If this hypothesis is confirmed, the discovery would not only shed light on a little-known chapter of ancient Egyptian history, but also add to the world's list of pyramids a monument that has never before been documented. The cave village of the Nuragic people on the island of Sardinia. On the beautiful island of Sardinia in Italy, there exists a mystery that has lasted for thousands of years and remains unsolved to this day. This is the story of Tiscali Village, an ancient settlement hidden deep within the heart of a giant cave, once belonging to the Nuragic civilization. The Nuragic people appeared on the island of Sardinia around 1800 BC. The most remarkable legacy they left on this island is the thousands of Nuraghe towers, massive stone structures built from large slabs of rock, scattered across the valleys. Archaeologists have recorded more than 7,000 Nuraghe towers that still stand to this day, but their true purpose is still unknown. Many theories have been proposed, ranging from defensive fortresses, residences of tribal chiefs, astronomical observatories, to sacred religious centers. However, all of these remain speculation, since the Nuragic civilization left behind no written records, and these stone structures continue to stand silently amidst nature, as wordless witnesses to a distant past. Amid this vast archaeological landscape, the village of Tiscali emerges as a unique question. Hidden deep within a giant cave in the Supramonte Mountains, Tiscali is unlike any other settlement on the island. To reach it, one must traverse steep, winding paths and navigate rugged limestone trails, where sunlight barely filters through the cavern's vault. Inside, visitors find the ruins of about 40 round and oval-shaped stone houses, pressed closely against the cave walls and forming a small community completely isolated from the outside world. Researchers believe that Tiscali was built around the 4th century BC, during the waning years of the Nuragic civilization. The appearance of a village inside a cave is closely linked to the historical turmoil of the era. It is possible that this was a place of refuge for local inhabitants in the face of invasions from outside forces, such as the Phoenicians or other Mediterranean peoples. However, it is also possible that Tiscali once served as a site of religious significance. Its completely isolated location, the vast space, and the sacred atmosphere of the cave created an ideal setting for mysterious rituals. Today, Tiscali remains quietly hidden in the limestone mountains. Like an incomplete secret of Sardinia, every stone wall, every small ruin here is a silent reminder of a once prosperous civilization that disappeared into history. The Devil's Pool. Near a small town called Babinda in the state of Queensland, there is a natural pool of water known as the Devil's Pool. The area surrounding this pool is an ideal destination for campers and photographers. However, most visitors are unaware that this place is infamous for a series of mysterious deaths. Indigenous Australians harbor great fear toward this site because of a tragic legend tied to the pool. According to the sorrowful tale, a beautiful young woman was married to an older man within her tribe. Not long after, she met a young man and quickly fell in love with him. After a period of secret romance, she decided to run away with him into the forest. However, her husband sent people to search for her and forced her to return. Realizing that she was surrounded, the young woman threw herself into the Devil's Pool rather than live a life without true love. The story does not end there. The local people believe that her spirit still lingers in the pool, searching for young men to drag them to an early death. To this day, around 17 people have drowned under mysterious circumstances since 1959, which has led many to believe that there may be some truth to the legend. In another case, a couple was standing near the pool, enjoying the scenery, when the water suddenly rose and swept them both in. The woman survived by sheer luck, but the man never returned. It is said that an invisible hand pulled him back as he struggled to escape the water. All rescue attempts failed, and in the end, he drowned. Oumuamua. It seems that every year, astronomers discover astonishing new things out in the vastness of space. Clearly, space exploration will be one of humanity's top priorities for the next several centuries. Major corporations are now investing heavily in the conquest of space, as it may hold the key to our very survival as a species. As technology advances year by year, scientists have been able to explore the universe in greater detail than ever before. Thanks to extensive research and relentless effort, many new discoveries about the cosmos have been made. Some of these have completely stunned the scientific community, although some believe we shouldn't be too surprised, given the unimaginable scale of the universe. Going back to the 19th of October, 2017, astronomers and the scientific community were astonished when they discovered an object moving through our solar system. This object came from another star system and was quickly named Oumuamua. What made this object especially remarkable was that it seemed to appear out of nowhere. When researchers began tracking it, they saw it loop around the sun and then continue on its way, never to return. However, astronomers managed to record its trajectory for a short period of time. After studying the data, it was revealed that Oumuamua had been within our solar system for more than a century. The reason it went undetected for so long was that it had never come close enough to reflect sunlight for astronomers to spot it. Even when it did approach, it moved extremely fast, giving scientists very little time to observe it. After the strange object passed by the sun, it continued to travel farther away, becoming dimmer with distance. The last observations of Oumuamua by the Hubble telescope were on the 2nd of January, 2018, and by May 3, it had been spotted beyond the orbit of Jupiter. Since its discovery, Oumuamua has sparked much debate over its true origin. Scientists are currently studying all available data in an attempt to reach a conclusion about this interstellar object. The first hypothesis was that it was an asteroid. Scientists based this on its size, which was about 800 meters long and 80 meters wide. However, astronomers also found that Oumuamua did not move like other asteroids. It had a strong non-gravitational acceleration, which meant its movement was not governed solely by gravity. Learning more about Oumuamua will be extremely difficult because it is no longer within our solar system. Many theories have been proposed, including the idea that it could be an alien spacecraft. However, a recent study by a mathematics team from the University of Maryland's Department of Astronomy suggested that Oumuamua is, in fact, a natural object. Still, there are those who believe this object could really be an alien ship, especially since researchers have confirmed that its movement was not entirely governed by gravity. Up to now, Oumuamua remains a mystery. Recently, astronomers discovered a second interstellar object, Comet Borisov, named after the astronomer who found it, Gennady Borisov. Researchers noted that this object has a hyperbolic trajectory, meaning it will also leave the solar system, which indicates it must have entered our solar system before. Many people have wondered why these interstellar objects are now entering the solar system. Why are we only discovering them now? Or have they been appearing for a long time, and only in recent years has technology advanced enough to detect them? Asteroids that nearly collided with Earth. Researchers say that this is an exciting time for astronomy, as advancing technology allows us to discover more and more new objects. It is crucial that astronomers thoroughly study these objects as soon as they are detected. Early detection of celestial bodies is essential for understanding their behavior and trajectories. For example, in 2018, there were over 91 instances of asteroids of various sizes nearly colliding with Earth. What is alarming is that out of the 91 asteroids that passed by, only 30 were detected before they approached, and only 2 of those were discovered a year in advance. This means that of more than 80 asteroids that narrowly missed Earth in 2018, only 2 cases were ones where our current technology could have allowed us to respond in time, highlighting just how serious the threat posed by large celestial objects in space can be. Recently, an asteroid named 2019 OK captured the world's attention. It was not its size that made it notable, but rather its sudden appearance in our sky. We were completely unaware of its existence until it flew past Earth. This underscores humanity's vulnerability. Even the best scientists and researchers had no knowledge of this object until the very last moments, and if anything had gone wrong, it would have been too late to act. This asteroid is estimated to be between 57 and 130 meters in diameter. Interestingly, it was the closest asteroid to pass by Earth in 2019, at a distance of only about 100,000 kilometers. Although that may sound far, in cosmic terms, it is actually extremely close. Another object, first observed on the 13th of December, 2012, was the asteroid 2012 EXO 134, which made a close approach to Earth on the 18th of April of this year. Astronomers believe that it is likely to return and may once again pass near Earth in the coming years. Fortunately, this asteroid is only about 90 meters long, and after calculating its speed, approach angle, and composition, scientists believe it would burn up and disintegrate in the atmosphere before reaching the ground. Nevertheless, NASA continues to closely monitor this asteroid, and it has been recorded more than 91 times since its discovery in 2012. Mysterious disappearances in national parks. National parks are among the most beautiful places on the planet. They offer breathtaking scenery and are home to hundreds of species of animals. Every year, many people visit national parks to admire their beauty, and governments always make efforts to preserve these areas in the hope that the public can enjoy them for centuries to come. However, many people have come to realize that these locations are not as perfect as they seem. When you start to look deeper, a troubling pattern emerges: disappearances and encounters with mysterious creatures. There are even claims that some incidents have been covered up to avoid causing public panic. That may sound dramatic, but it's difficult to understand why so many people have gone missing under mysterious circumstances in national parks around the world, a number that seems to far exceed other places with similar visitor counts. Of course, skeptics will argue that this is only logical because national parks are so vast, and inexperienced visitors can easily become lost. Yet, this does not explain all of the disappearances. Many missing persons are experts, well acquainted with the terrain, carefully prepared, and even equipped with backup phones to inform family and friends of their route. Yet when they are reported missing, no trace of them is ever found. In some cases, the missing person will reappear after weeks or even months. But when asked what happened, they remember nothing at all. Some are unable to recall even the last few years of their lives. These situations have drawn particular attention and raised real questions about what is truly happening. It is estimated that thousands of people have gone missing in national parks. Sadly, most never return, but there are a few who do, and their stories leave everyone even more puzzled. National parks are not as completely safe as people might think. There are countless places where someone could get lost or injured and be unable to go on. Still, one thing stands out: The United States National Park Service does not keep a database of missing persons. With so many disappearances happening in their parks, there ought to be a system for tracking them, but since none exists, no one knows exactly how many people are missing in national parks. Moreover, the number of strange disappearances is strikingly high. One example is the case of Stephen Kubacki in February 1978. Stephen decided to explore the Great Lakes Triangle. While in this region, he suddenly vanished. Stephen had told people he was going skiing, which was confirmed when police found his skis near Lake Michigan. The investigation concluded he was missing, and it was not until 15 months later that any word of Stephen surfaced. He appeared at his father's front door, and when the door opened, Stephen said he could not remember anything that had happened over the previous 15 months. The only thing he could recount was that, after regaining consciousness, he found himself over 700 miles from home and with no clothes on. Stephen said he did not know where he had been all that time, nor could he understand why he had lost all memory. He was regarded as mentally healthy and held a PhD in clinical psychology. To this day, this incident remains a mystery. Mysterious creatures, strange sounds, and UFO phenomena in national parks. If those who go missing are healthy, experienced hikers with detailed plans, then what could truly be causing their disappearances? Is there something else at play besides simple mistakes by backpackers? We have to ask ourselves whether something is being hidden in the national parks, or whether these preserves were established to cover up something else. An interesting statistic is that many people have reported seeing strange creatures in national parks. Numerous individuals have recounted encounters with supernatural phenomena such as ghosts, mysterious glowing orbs, or unexplained sound. National parks in North and South America are hotspots for unidentified flying objects and bizarre creatures that resemble giants. In particular, Green Mountain National Park is a place that many locals consider famous for its supernatural events. Here, many disappearances have taken place within a small region known as the Bennington Triangle. Even seasoned hikers can go missing in this area. In some cases, people vanish without a trace even when they are still within sight of their group. Some report that, while exploring national parks, they encounter strange sounds at different frequencies, as if something is watching them. There are those who believe that these mysterious creatures in the parks are actually responsible for the disappearances. Many experts have claimed to have encountered giant, human-like beings in the wilderness. Although their accounts are often met with skepticism, they remain convinced of what they saw. One hunter said that, while camping in a national park, he heard an unusual noise. When he pointed his flashlight toward the source of the sound, he saw a creature resembling Bigfoot, standing over 8 feet tall. He said that, if it wanted to, the creature could have easily overpowered him, but it did not seem aggressive. These creatures are commonly described as bipedal, standing from 2 to over 11 feet tall, and resembling enormous primates. Stories about these beings have existed from the time of indigenous Australians all the way to the present day in cultures around the world. Ancient legends claim that such giants once lived and tried to avoid humans at all costs, though there are still occasional encounters reported. Strangely, the descriptions of these creatures are remarkably consistent across different eras and regions. Additionally, some people on camping trips have reported seeing mysterious, flickering lights. These unidentified flying objects are often described as glowing orbs, flashing with different colors. Some have said that they felt the orbs were deliberately trying to lure them off the trail. Another phenomenon frequently observed in these areas is triangular-shaped UFOs. These objects are described as having 3 points of light, and when seen closely, they appear as a large, dark triangle that can hover silently in the air. These UFOs often appear at the same time as mysterious creatures, leading many to believe that the two phenomena may be connected. Bigfoot. For years, people across the world have been captivated by stories of a giant ape-like creature. This being, often called Bigfoot, is famous for its enormous size and is said to have been sighted all over the United States. Those who claim to have encountered the creature describe it as standing anywhere from 10 to 15 feet tall. Although many remain skeptical about its existence, there is actually quite a bit of evidence suggesting that something may indeed be out there. There are several areas across North America considered hotspots for Bigfoot encounters. According to Bigfoot researchers, these regions receive the highest number of reported sightings. Despite the wide range of descriptions, reports of Bigfoot are rarely in short supply, and some of them are truly bizarre. Many eyewitnesses say that they not only saw the creature, but also heard deep moaning sounds or knocking noises, as if these beings were communicating with each other. In fact, over the years, some people have even managed to record these strange sounds, believed by some to come from Bigfoot itself. One recording was sent in by a woman named Lisa. She recalled that while camping in Washington State, she and her husband heard unusual noises around 1 a.m. that they couldn't identify. At first, she thought it might be a local wild animal, but her husband, who often spent time in the woods, disagreed and suggested they try to record the sounds. He insisted that, in all his time outdoors, he had never heard anything quite like it before. When they shared the audio clip with others, some suggested they had captured the call of Bigfoot. While Lisa herself still isn't fully convinced, many others claim there is no known animal capable of making such sounds. Grassman. Grassman is another large creature said to inhabit the forests of Indiana and West Virginia. It is described as a massive, shaggy, human-like being. Unlike many of the Bigfoot reports from across the continent, Grassman is thought to be much more aggressive. Many people claim to have encountered this creature while hiking through the woods, and some say that Grassman has built small huts, a unique behavior not seen in any other type of Bigfoot. The first reports of sightings of the Grassman began to appear in the 1970s, when a group of children ran home to tell their grandparents that a hairy man was digging through the trash. When the grandparents went to check, they saw the creature rummaging through garbage bins in search of food, but it quickly fled after being discovered. As research in the area surrounding Grassman sightings continued, more and more people began reporting encounters with a large ape-like creature living in huts made from tall grass. However, whenever they returned to these spots, the sites had been completely abandoned, as the creature had moved on after being detected. Sightings of the Yeti in the Himalayas. In all reported encounters with the Yeti, it has never been said that this creature attacked a human. One particularly notable case involves Eric Shipton. In 1951, a team of mountaineers attracted widespread media attention when they set out to conquer Mount Everest, meticulously preparing both their equipment and physical condition. To document their expedition, they brought along modern cameras to capture moments from the world's highest peak. Strangely enough, after the climb, the real focus was not on their journey to the summit, but rather on the high-quality photographs they took of mysterious, human-like footprints at extreme altitudes in the region. The first track was discovered by Michael Warland, and then Eric Shipton photographed the print, placing his ice axe next to it to highlight its incredible size. Many were skeptical about the authenticity of the footprint, but analysts noted that the anatomical details appeared entirely accurate. The print showed an unusually large big toe, consistent with a creature of such size. The depth of the footprint also indicated a distribution of weight that an ordinary person could not produce. Today, these photos are considered among the most convincing evidence for the existence of the Yeti, helping scientists better understand the creature's size, weight, and possible evolutionary history. Even so, skeptics continue to argue that the Yeti can be explained away by other phenomena. Despite the abundance of evidence, they insist that what people have seen is simply a hoax or case of mistaken identity with other wild animals. They also point out that there have been far too many deliberate hoaxes, with most evidence merely the work of pranksters or people dressed in ape costumes. This has led to a generally negative public perception of the creature. Lizard Man. For many years, people have continuously encountered mysterious creatures, though most cases are eventually identified as pranks or simply as animals that were misidentified. However, there are still some cases that leave people with more questions than answers. One of the most interesting aspects of these kinds of incidents is when the police get involved in the investigation. Many people tend to be skeptical about the existence of strange creatures or unexplained phenomena in the world. But when they witness something firsthand, their attitude changes immediately. This was the case with a mysterious creature reported a few decades ago. In 1988, a local 17-year-old named Christopher Davis said that he was driving near the Scape Ore Swamp area and ran into a creature described as being about 2.1 meters tall, with lizard-like skin, 3 fingers on each hand, glowing white-red eyes, and a body covered in scales like a snake. This creature was later called by locals the Lizard Man of Scape Ore Swamp. Sightings of this creature continued for many years afterward, with many people claiming to have seen it, and some even reported direct encounters near the swamp or in nearby areas. This led to a local radio station called WCOS offering a $1 million reward to anyone who could catch the creature and bring it to their studio. Although many people thought this was just a publicity stunt, it attracted special attention from the nearby military bases. A serviceman named Kenneth, who worked at Shaw Air Force Base nearby, recounted that he had an encounter and even fired at the creature, injuring it but never finding the body. Scales and blood were found at the scene, but Kenneth was arrested for carrying a weapon illegally and for filing a false report, leading to suspicion that the military might be trying to cover up the truth to avoid causing public panic. For the next 30 years, a few more reports continued to surface from the Scape Ore Swamp area, with most encounters happening at night when people were alone. Witnesses often described a very strong, human-shaped creature, capable of doing things that humans cannot. This made residents living near the swamp extremely anxious, and they continued to report sightings of a strange creature and demanded answers. A notable incident occurred on the 4th of July, 1988, when the Lee County Sheriff's Office received a call reporting a car had been vandalized in the town of Browns, near Scape Ore Swamp. When officers arrived at the scene, they noticed large bite marks on the car, scratches along the body, and muddy footprints around the vehicle, indicating that a large creature had been there the night before. Sheriff Liston Truesdale was one of the first to arrive at the scene and was surprised by the accounts from local residents about a lizard-like creature causing repeated damage night after night. The most famous report is still from Christopher Davis, who described the creature damaging his car. Although it sounded hard to believe, the incident was quickly covered by news outlets, drawing crowds to the area hoping to see the creature for themselves. The sheriff measured the footprints, which were about 35 to 38 centimeters long and had unusual features. However, later biologists said the footprints could not be classified, which only added to the mystery of the case. Wildlife experts also stated that no local animal had similar footprints. Later on, some experts believed these were just the tracks of local wild animals, or cases of mistaken identity. But many people still believe that the lizard man was real. Some skeptics believe that the creature was actually just a black bear, which can be 1.5 to 2.1 meters tall, matching the described height, and that they could easily leave scratch marks if trying to open a car to find food. However, those who believe in the lizard man legend think the story is similar to that of Mothman or Bigfoot, as every few years someone claims to have seen it. Researchers in mysterious creatures believe that there could be an undiscovered animal living in the swamps or on an island. Still, to convince the public, definitive evidence is needed. In recent years, there have been no new reports about the lizard man, making many people believe that if this creature ever existed, it has now disappeared. The Thames Angel and supernatural encounters. For many years, there have been numerous reports of people witnessing angelic entities. In particular, some witnesses have shared that they only saw these beings during times of sadness or after experiencing misfortune in life. These are usually deeply personal and rare encounters. However, the Thames River in London has become a well-known hotspot for reports of sightings of a mysterious angelic entity. This being is called the Thames Angel by those who live around the London area. They describe it as a large, angel-shaped figure, sometimes seen hovering above the waters of the Thames. Those who have witnessed the angel say that they were feeling down at the time, but upon seeing it, they suddenly felt a strange warmth inside, and their spirits were lifted for an entire week. Although it is extremely rare for anyone to photograph this being, since it only appears for a brief moment, the legend of the Thames Angel has continued to spread throughout London for many years. Historians who study this phenomenon believe that the Thames Angel first appeared during the era of the Great Fire of London. After this event, people began to speculate about a mysterious entity that could not be explained. It was described as a radiant light hovering above the Thames, shining with an aura that brought comfort to all who saw it. However, following the Great Fire, sightings of the angel gradually diminished, and people slowly forgot about its existence. The Thames Angel only began to reappear when war broke out, and since then, stories about the angelic light near the Thames have surfaced once again. One of the most common places to see it is near the London Eye Ferris wheel. Over the past 100 years, many people have reported sightings of the angel here. Theories about the nature of this being vary widely. Some believe it is the spirit of those who perished in the Great Fire, while others think it is a heavenly messenger sent by God to comfort the people of London during times of hardship. The one thing all these experiences have in common is that anyone who sees the angel immediately feels better. One theory suggests that the angel only appears when something bad is about to happen, whether it relates to the city of London, the surrounding area, or even to the person witnessing it. Most reported encounters with the angel coincide with unfortunate events. However, there are also skeptics who believe that the angel's appearance near crowded locations like the London Eye, the Sea Life Centre, London Aquarium, and the London Dungeon is nothing more than a marketing ploy to attract tourists. Some shops have even taken advantage of the Thames Angel brand to sell t-shirts and organize sightseeing tours. Whether the Thames Angel is real or not, stories about it continue to draw great interest, with many people willing to visit London just for the chance to catch a glimpse. Not just in London, but all over the world there are stories of mysterious angel sightings. Followers of faith believe these are guardian angels, always watching over and protecting humans. Some who have survived serious accidents recount seeing an angel come to their aid, believing that when the boundary between the human world and the other world becomes thin, that is when people are able to see angels most clearly. Even today, many people around the world still believe that there are entities always watching over and protecting people in times of trouble, while others say that it is simply a product of the mind during moments of trauma or severe distress. Megalodon and giant sharks. One of the largest predators ever to exist was the giant shark Megalodon. It can be said that this was also one of the greatest hunters ever to appear on our planet. Scientists have offered many explanations for why this giant shark became extinct. Some believe it was due to climate change, while others suggest that its main food sources migrated to colder waters. But many others argue that the primary reason for the species' decline was its enormous size. This shark was truly gigantic. Megalodon could reach up to 18 meters in length and had a bite force even greater than that of the Tyrannosaurus rex. However, strangely enough, Megalodon became extinct within a very short period of time. Its massive size actually became a disadvantage in the wild. To maintain its body mass and develop its muscles, Megalodon needed an immense amount of food, which meant it had to hunt almost non-stop. Scientists estimate that Megalodon had to eat more than 1,100 kilograms of meat each day just to survive, meaning that if prey became scarce, it would quickly starve. Megalodon's main food sources were whales, sea turtles, and seals. To meet such high demands, these sharks had to remain in a constant state of hunting, sometimes even taking dangerous risks just to find food. This is one of the reasons why scientists believe Megalodon went extinct. So why are there still reports of unusually large sharks out in the ocean? These stories have been recorded for hundreds of years and often share the same basic details. One of the most famous cases comes from Australia in 1918, when a researcher named David Stead documented a strange event. A group of fishermen quit their jobs and refused to go back out to sea after witnessing a giant shark in their area. They claimed that the shark swallowed an entire net full of fish in a single bite, destroyed all their gear, and nearly capsized the boat. They insisted that the shark they saw was larger than any they had ever encountered. According to David Stead, this shark was believed to be over 27 meters long and was pale white in color. Some people argue that the story was exaggerated, since no shark has ever been officially recorded at such a size. Others believe that the shark the fishermen saw was actually just over 15 meters, but due to panic, they estimated its size incorrectly. One detail that researchers have paid attention to is the color of the shark. Fishermen recalled that when their boat was close to the water's surface, they saw the water become very turbulent, with smaller fish scattering everywhere, and then a large white shark surfaced. Reports of giant sharks continue to appear. Some researchers believe that there may still be a group of megalodons surviving in the unexplored deep seas, even though this idea sounds far-fetched. They point to the reports of giant sharks as evidence, though most scientists still believe Megalodon is extinct. Back in the 1960s, there was another report of a giant shark sighting. According to the report, a captain piloting a 15-meter-long fishing boat claimed that a massive white shark swam past his boat while they were anchored. When questioned whether he might have mistaken it for a whale, the captain, who was very experienced, insisted that it was definitely a shark, not a whale. Another large shark species often mentioned is the so-called black demon shark, believed to inhabit the waters off Mexico. From time to time, fishermen, tourists, and divers all claim to have seen this enormous creature. Reports describe a black shark about 18 meters long, shaped like a great white, but with black coloring and an unusually large tail. Interestingly, many descriptions of this creature are very similar to what people imagine Megalodon would look like, especially the oversized tail. Many veteran fishermen, with years of experience and countless encounters with large fish, have also confirmed the giant size of this creature. One fisherman recounted that when he was hauling up a large fish, he discovered it had been bitten in half, and the bite mark was 3 times larger than that of a great white shark. To this day, no one has been able to determine what the black demon shark actually is. Famous alien abduction cases. Stories of alien abductions have long been a hot topic for decades. From the 1960s to the 1980s, reports of people being abducted by extraterrestrials skyrocketed, becoming a trend that appeared frequently in the media. Many believe that this explosion was simply the result of attention-seeking by those wanting fame, but in reality, these reports were much more serious and credible than the press portrayed. In October 1957, Antonio Villas-Boas experienced one of the earliest recorded cases of alien abduction, accompanied by a significant amount of evidence that supports the truthfulness of his testimony and contributed to the development of theories about human-alien hybridization. According to Antonio's account, on the night of the 15th of October, 1957, he and his brother were working in the fields when they saw a bright red light in the sky. At first, they thought it was some kind of aircraft, but after a while, since the light remained stationary and did not move, they assumed it was a star they had never noticed before. The next evening, on the 16th of October, Antonio was working alone in the field late at night. While working, he saw the same red star appear again, just as it had the night before, but this time, the light was much clearer. At first, Antonio did not pay much attention because his brother had also seen the light the previous night and it had seemed unremarkable. However, this time, the situation was different. Upon closer observation, he realized that the red star was not only larger, but was gradually approaching his location. After a while, Antonio could see clearly that it was a round flying object with a bright red light at the front and a small rotating turret on top. The entire craft hovered in the air without any visible propulsion. When the object descended near where Antonio was standing, it extended landing legs to touch down on the ground. At that moment, Antonio quickly climbed onto his tractor, trying to leave the area as fast as possible. However, in just a few moments, the tractor stopped working, the lights went out, and the engine died. Antonio understood that the strange object had caused this. Frightened, he jumped off the tractor and started to run away on foot, but was quickly caught by a small humanoid being. Antonio could not see the being's face clearly, only recalling that its eyes were small and blue, and that the sound it made was strange and unrecognizable. Immediately after being subdued by this creature, 3 other similar beings appeared and dragged Antonio onto the spacecraft despite his resistance. Inside the craft, the beings stripped Antonio of his clothes and covered his body with a sticky gel. Upon being coated with this substance, Antonio experienced an unusual sensation. Many believe it was some kind of chemical intended to suppress his will and physical strength. He was then taken into a room with strange red symbols on the walls. Here, blood was drawn from his chin, leaving a scar that lasted more than 2 years. Next, he was moved to another room, where an unknown gas was pumped in, making him nauseous and short of breath, to the point where he thought he might die. At that moment, the door opened, and a naked female being entered. Upon entering, this female entity forced Antonio to have intercourse, emitting animal-like growls that frightened and disgusted him. When it was over, the female being rubbed her stomach and pointed to the sky, as if to signal that conception had taken place. After this experience, Antonio was given back his clothes and led on a tour of the spacecraft. He even tried to steal a small object as evidence, but was discovered and forced off the ship. When the craft departed, Antonio returned home and realized that more than 4 hours had passed. After the incident, he began to show symptoms of radiation exposure and suffered pain for many months. Even though there was a lot of evidence supporting Antonio's story, he was still mocked by many people and faced significant psychological challenges afterwards. Later, Antonio became a respected lawyer and, until his death, always insisted that what he had experienced was absolutely real and not fabricated. The case of the strange creature, Trunco, South Africa, 1924. Another case involves a creature known as Trunco, which appeared on the 24th of October, 1924. A strange monster washed up on the shore, and witnesses described the creature as having a long trunk like that of an elephant, thick white fur like a polar bear, and a massive body. Because of its long trunk, people named it Trunco and believed that it was a previously unknown creature. Although the carcass lay on the beach for more than 10 days and attracted many visitors, not a single scientist or researcher collected samples or preserved it for study. This led many to believe that it was simply the remains of a large whale that had been misidentified. Since no specimen was ever preserved, it it is difficult to determine whether the creature was truly misidentified or not. Unfortunately, to this day, we still do not know what this animal really was or where it came from, making it an unexplained mystery of the ocean. Today, many online websites dedicated to mysterious creatures have removed Trunco from their lists of strange animals, accepting the explanation that it was merely the decomposed remains of a marine animal. However, what is odd is that there are still people who claim to have seen similar creatures. Just a few years ago, another animal washed ashore, covered in white fur, but scientists once again concluded that it was simply a whale carcass with decaying tissue. It seems that science has now become very effective at identifying mysterious creatures that appear on beaches, but that does not mean there are no strange animals still hiding in places yet to be explored by humans. About 95% of the ocean remains uncharted, and each year, we continue to discover hundreds of new marine species that were once thought to be extinct. The mysterious disappearance of Frederick Valentich. On the 21st of October, 1978, a man named Frederick Valentich disappeared under mysterious circumstances while on a 230-kilometer training flight in a Cessna aircraft over the Bass Strait. At around 7 p.m. that evening, while flying at an altitude of about 4,500 feet, Valentich contacted Melbourne Air Traffic Control to report that an unidentified flying object was following him. Ground control responded that there were no other aircraft near his position at that time. However, Valentich insisted he saw a large, unusual object approaching him at high speed. He described the object as metallic and shiny, with green lights. Just a few minutes later, he reported that his engine was experiencing trouble. When asked to describe the object again, Valentich simply replied, "It's not an aircraft." Immediately afterward, a sound like metal scraping could be heard before the radio signal was cut off completely. Aerial searches were launched in the area where Valentich was reported missing, but no trace was ever found. After the Department of Transport investigated and found no clear cause, they presumed it was a disappearance resulting in death. 5 years later, several small pieces of a Cessna aircraft, matching the type Valentich was flying, were discovered washed ashore on Flinders Island. Some UFO researchers believe that Valentich's plane may have been destroyed by extraterrestrials or that he was abducted. Interestingly, locals living near the area where he vanished also claim to have seen a bright green light at the same time. However, some skeptics suspected that Valentich may have staged his own disappearance. Despite the many theories surrounding the disappearance of Frederick Valentich, to this day, none have been able to provide a definitive answer as to what really happened. Orang Bati. Orang Bati is a strange winged creature said to inhabit Indonesia. This being is described as a flying animal resembling a bat. Some people describe Orang Bati as a winged monkey. According to local legends, Orang Bati attempts to catch people and carry them away to its dwelling in the forest. It is believed that this creature lives in the dense, tropical forests of Indonesia. Stories about Orang Bati have existed since the 15th century. An English missionary named Tossin Hughes was originally very skeptical of the local people's stories, thinking they were not credible. However, just a few years later, he became a believer in the existence of this creature, and even claimed to have encountered the Orang Bati himself. Recent investigations suggest that it is highly likely Orang Bati may actually be a species of giant bat. However, this animal would not be capable of carrying off a human. Some researchers believe that Orang Bati could be an entirely new species that has never been discovered before. Legends and reports of the Ningen creature, Antarctica and cold seas. Antarctica has long been the center of many mysteries. Interestingly, Japan is no stranger to these theories and has often been at the heart of many rumors surrounding the icy continent. In recent years, stories about strange, humanoid creatures living in Antarctica have begun to spread widely in Japan. According to Japan's whaling industry, many crew members aboard whaling research vessels have reported seeing bizarre human-shaped creatures there. These reports have not just appeared once. In fact, quite a few people have described very similar encounters. The reports detail that when approaching Antarctica, crews often saw gigantic beings out in the ocean, resembling humans with bodies ranging from 20 to 30 meters long and completely white skin. Some even mistook these creatures for submarines from a distance, only realizing as they drew closer that these were beings with arms, fingers, eyes, and a mouth. The creature was named Ningen, though many simply call it the Antarctic human. To this day, A few images of the creature have surfaced online, but many believe these are merely recreations and not actual photos of a real being. Those who claim to have encountered Ningen say that the creature is gentle and does not seem to mind the presence of humans. Some recent witnesses have also come forward, but the authenticity of these stories remains unverified. Although most of these accounts originate from Antarctica, some people have claimed to encounter similar beings in other parts of the world, sparking the theory that these creatures may inhabit many cold oceans, not just Antarctica. In Sweden, for example, many people traveling by boat have reported seeing large, white creatures swimming beneath the surface, with a humanoid appearance unlike any known marine animal. Many have tried to take photos, but most turn out blurry, making it impossible to clearly identify what the creature is. A few videos have also captured these encounters, but they remain highly debated, even as the witnesses continue to insist that what they saw was real. These creatures are often mistaken for whales or other large sea animals. Sometimes, they are even described as having fins or tails like mermaids, or even tentacles. Although they seem gentle, witnesses report that when people approach, the creatures quickly disappear. All of the stories about Ningen share the common thread that the creature is extremely shy and curious. Most encounters only last a brief moment, making it incredibly difficult to capture clear, definitive photographs. The Nightcrawler legend in America. Native American legends hold that nightcrawler creatures have existed on Earth for a very long time, said to have originated from a swamp-covered planet, which is why they have such long legs. Some say that they spend most of their time in the sea and only occasionally come ashore. This is the reason why they are rarely seen. In California, the nightcrawler is described as a long, white creature that often appears in unedited security footage. While many skeptics claim that it is nothing more than a person in a white cloak moving slowly, video analysis experts have confirmed that these recordings are genuine and that the creature in question occupies three-dimensional space, not simply a product of digital editing. Numerous Nightcrawler videos have continued to surface over the years, leading many to believe that this creature is real. However, because their appearances are so unexpected, capturing clear footage of them is almost impossible. It is important to remember that most of the world's oceans remain unexplored. In fact, scientists have remarked that we know more about the surface of the moon than we do about the bottom of our own oceans, so no one can truly say what mysteries might still be waiting to be discovered beneath the deep sea. Dogman. Across North America, there have been countless reports and legends about a creature known as the Dogman. This creature is described as resembling a strange type of werewolf, possessing both supernatural strength and abilities. Some witnesses often compare it to Bigfoot but with more canine features, while others believe it is actually a wolf-like monster that appears during car accidents. Remarkably, for over 60 years, there have been numerous reports of this creature, and most of the stories share a common theme. Researchers have traced the first recorded report of the Dogman back to 1887 in Wexford County. The story tells of two lumberjacks who were talking when one of them spotted something mysterious. He described the creature as having a human body but a dog's head. Once they realized its presence, both men quickly fled, not wanting to risk being harmed by the large animal. In 1961, a security guard reported seeing something similar in the state of Michigan. Most encounters with the Dogman remain as stories passed by word of mouth, with no way to verify what the witnesses saw. But the security guard recalled that he had a camera and actually managed to photograph the enormous creature. Those who analyzed the photo said it closely resembled the descriptions provided by other Dogman witnesses. Although most reports about the Dogman come from Michigan, people in other areas have also spoken about similar experiences. One of the strangest stories about the Dogman comes from California. According to the account, a woman saw the Dogman near Sacramento in 1953. The encounter was said to have happened about 300 meters west of the American River and about 600 meters east of the state capitol building, in a small house owned by a local family. According to the woman, she was about 12 years old at the time, lying on the sofa watching television, when she noticed a large shadow moving outside the window, as if someone was looking into the house. She quickly stood up and looked outside, only to see a large dog's face staring into the room. She described the head as being much larger than that of a coyote or any dog she had ever seen, with a long, straight snout, and though the color was unclear due to the darkness, it could have been dark gray with glowing red eyes. Terrified, she slammed the window shut and then saw the creature rise up on its hind legs, estimating it to be over 5 feet tall She screamed for her parents, which made the creature leave before anything else happened. When they checked outside, there were no traces, and the window was far too high for any normal dog to look through. Unfortunately, no further information was available, as the woman could not recall the exact time of the event. Another strange dogman report comes from New York. In this case, a woman came home just after dark in a rural area, with her 2 children sitting in the back seat. She said that as soon as she got out of the car, she felt as if someone was watching her. The area was completely silent, with no sound of crickets or people. This made her rush her children into the house. As soon as they reached the door, she heard a loud growl, like an angry large dog. Not long after, she called her husband to come home quickly because there was a large animal outside. When he arrived, he brought their cat outside and checked around for bears or stray dogs. While searching, he noticed the strange silence and suddenly saw a large creature running through the woods. He tried to aim at it, but it moved too fast. The couple later reported this encounter as a dogman sighting because they could not explain it any other way, but they did not find any further evidence. Another report about the dogman comes from India, where 2 guards claim to have seen an unexplainable mysterious creature, with these reports usually occurring around open-air markets. The problem was that the 2 had never seen anything like it before, so their descriptions were also quite vague. This was not the first time such a creature had been noted. In recent years, people all over the world have begun reporting sightings of large black dogs with glowing red eyes, and all of these encounters follow a similar pattern. The witness is always alone at night, and the dog is unusually large. When reported, most of these cases are dismissed, and officials say that people are only seeing stray dogs, but the witnesses insist that the creature they encountered was no ordinary dog. An overview of mysterious creatures around the world. Mysterious creatures have been reported all over the world, and many of them have become famous in their local regions. For example, the Loch Ness Monster and Bigfoot are so well known that they have become the subjects of books and television programs. Yet, after all these years, we still do not know whether these creatures truly exist. Skeptics claim they are nothing more than hoaxes, while those who say they have seen them swear that they are real. There have been discoveries that have sparked much speculation, such as the case of a creature found off the coast of New Zealand on the 25th of April, 1977. This creature was named Saguaro Maru, after the ship that discovered it. At first, when the nets were cast, the crew hoped to catch small to medium-sized fish, mostly mackerel. However, shortly after lowering the nets, the ship was suddenly pulled hard, signaling that something very large had become entangled. When they hauled in the net, they gradually saw a strange creature caught inside. When the mysterious creature was brought to the surface, they immediately realized it had been dead for quite some time. The first thing that caught the crew's attention was its long neck and limb-like fins. None of them had ever seen anything like it before. As news spread, many in the scientific community became interested in the creature that had been caught. One of the first hypotheses was that it was the carcass of a basking shark. Scientists around the world noted that large, unidentified creatures washing ashore were often simply the remains of decomposing sharks, which could alter their appearance completely. This could explain why, for centuries, many people believed in sea monsters, simply because they had mistaken the remains of sharks or other large, dead creatures for something else. However, there are still those who believe the creature caught by the fishermen was a real sea monster, specifically an extinct marine reptile that once lived in the oceans hundreds of millions of years ago, Plesiosaurus. This hypothesis arose because the creature's features closely matched those of Plesiosaurus. Additionally, its small head seemed to support this theory even further. Some cryptozoologists believe that a small group of Plesiosaurus may have survived the extinction event by diving into deep ocean regions and surviving on the abundant food sources found on the ocean floor. However, scientists have rejected this theory and maintain that there has never been any evidence of living Plesiosaurus. Every year, scientists continue to discover animal species thought to have gone extinct long ago, such as the coelacanth. This fish was believed to have gone extinct around 80 million years ago, but in 1938, a living specimen was found off the southern coast of Africa. With so much evidence like this, it is no surprise that stories of people encountering ancient creatures continue to this day. When the creature was brought up, the captain did not want to keep it on board, fearing it would spoil the fresh fish. However, the other crew members persuaded him to keep it for research. After taking photographs and samples, the creature was thrown back into the sea. Not long after, A Japanese professor claimed that the sample matched the extinct plesiosaurus, shocking the scientific world. If that were true, it would mean that many other such creatures could still exist in the ocean, yet to be discovered. However, when others went to the location where the creature was found, nothing more was discovered. Maracoxy. Another theory suggests that when people see these mysterious creatures, it is usually at night, a time when it is difficult to be certain about what they are witnessing. Sometimes, even a tree can appear to be a great mountain, and in most cases, these sightings are related to the phenomenon of pareidolia, or they are simply ordinary wild animals found in national parks. Lieutenant Colonel Percy Fawcett was a renowned explorer in South America. During his expeditions, he encountered many mysterious things. While some have questioned the credibility of his accounts, others have raised the question, could someone with so much experience simply invent what he claimed to have seen? One of his most famous encounters involved the Maracoxy tribe. This was a strange tribe that had been reported in the past, and many people have believed in their existence. The Maracoxy are thought to be an unknown tribe living deep within the Amazon rainforest. Many reports insist that they are not entirely human. In 1914, Percy Fawcett claimed to have encountered a peculiar tribe living in primitive villages built from simple materials in the jungle, using bows and arrows for hunting and to defend themselves against intruders. They were described in ways very similar to Bigfoot, communicating only with primitive sounds, and living northeast of another well-known tribe called the Max Abu. Given the fact that many uncontacted tribes in this region trace their origins back tens of thousands of years, some have suggested that the Maracoxy could be the last surviving groups of Neanderthals in the modern era. Others believe this was actually a hidden village of Sasquatch, moving into deep, little-known forest regions. Although many do not believe in the existence of such creatures, there is still evidence of their presence in mountain and forest regions around the world. Recently, it was discovered that the FBI once took an interest in these sightings, dating back to 1978. It is known that Peter Byrne, the director of the Bigfoot Information Center, sent the FBI a package containing about 15 hairs attached to a small piece of skin. The reason for sending it to the FBI was because this organization had the means to determine the animal species from these samples. The FBI examined them and found that the hairs were from a deer. Years later, the FBI declassified the Bigfoot files related to this analysis. As many have pointed out, this does not prove that Bigfoot exists. It only shows that the government had some interest and received requests for analysis. They have never confirmed that Bigfoot is real. Nevertheless, sightings of this creature have occurred for many years. One early settler named David Thompson, while crossing the Rockies near Jasper, Alberta, recorded in his journal, "Continuing our journey in the afternoon, we came across the tracks of a large animal, in snow about 6-inch deep. I measured 4 toes, each about 4 inches long, the ball of the foot pressed deeper than the toes by about 3 inches, with no imprint from the heel, for a total length of 14 by 18 inches, running north to south. After 6 hours of following, we lost interest, as the tracks were far too large to be those of a bear. The mystery of elongated skulls and ancient cranial deformation. While many archaeological discoveries are remarkable, there are still mysteries that science has yet to fully explain. It is hard to believe that some structures were actually built by ancient people, but research has shown that we often underestimate the capabilities of ancient civilizations. Recently, a group of archaeologists made an intriguing discovery at an ancient tomb in southern China. What they found were ancient skulls that, at first glance, did not appear to be unusual, but then they realized that these skulls had been intentionally deformed. This phenomenon has been found in many parts of the world, but in this case, researchers believe it was done to signify status and wealth. During the excavation, scientists uncovered more than 20 skeletons with deformed skulls. Further study revealed that these remains dated from 4,800 to 12,500 years ago. What is especially interesting is that researchers previously thought cranial deformation only appeared about 9,000 years ago in cultures such as the Maya and indigenous Australians. The team from Dallas reported that the skeletons they found belonged to adults, including 4 men and 1 woman, and that there were artifacts indicating they had been wealthy individuals in life. Another site where deformed skulls have been discovered is in southern Mexico. Recently, an underwater archaeology team explored a deep sinkhole in this region. This area has long been shrouded in mystery, and local residents are reluctant to approach it for fear of misfortune. Archaeologists found a cave full of human bones and many unusually elongated skulls. This cave is actually a natural sinkhole that the ancient Maya once used as a place to offer sacrifices. One local legend tells that the cave is guarded by a horse-headed serpent. Many elderly villagers recall seeing the serpent leap from the water, coil itself around tree trunks, and then dive back below the surface. If you find these mysterious stories fascinating, please share your thoughts in the comments below. And don't forget to subscribe so you won't miss any of our upcoming explorations. See you in the next video.